What's up, everybody? It's Jared with Capture the Magic, and in today's video, we're going to talk about AI, and more specifically, Disney and Universal are actually working together as they have launched a legal battle against Midjourney, which is a very popular AI art generator. And it's not often that you see Disney and Universal coming together on this, but this is probably the first of many legal battles over AI and its uses that we will see into the future. But this one is pretty... I would say probably rather cornerstone in terms of what this could set up into the future of using AI for art especially. But this is from a Hollywood Reporter, and it says, Disney and Universal launch AI legal battle, sue Midjourney over copyright claims. It says, piracy is piracy, says Disney's chief legal officer, as the studios aim to show that tools allowing personalized AI slop creations of characters like Darth Vader or Shrek run afoul of their IP. Says in the next chapter of Big Entertainment versus Big Tech, Disney and Universal have filed a lawsuit against artificial intelligence company Midjourney over tools that allow users to create images and videos that can manipulate famous characters at the click of a prompt. The lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court in Los Angeles on Wednesday by Disney Enterprises, Marvel, Lucasfilm, 20th Century, Universal City Studios Productions, and DreamWorks Animation describes the David Holt-run generative AI firm Midjourney as a bottomless pit of plagiarism. I mean, this is a common thing of what AI is accused of, whether you think about it or not. AI doesn't create new ideas necessarily. It essentially gathers up everything that it can find on the internet and makes things out of the knowledge that it gains from that. So obviously it would know about, Lucasfilm properties, Darth Vader. If you say, hey, make me a Darth Vader wearing Mickey ears, it's going to know what that is. But it's not, at least at this point, it's not like it's going to create brand new characters necessarily very easily. So that's kind of how a lot of the AI stuff works in a nutshell. I mean, AI is much more complicated, but that is kind of in a nutshell of what they're saying against it and which kind of how it operates. The legal salvo marks the first major foray from Hollywood against tech giants that are hoping to reorient consumer habits with personalized entertainment and information by vacuuming up data on the internet and spitting it out in the form of a chatbot copy or images. So far, Wall Street has bet big that AI will be a major economic driver in the future, and AI companies have raised tens of billions of dollars to realize that vision. Notably, major film and TV studios have not yet inked significant deals with AI companies to license their IPs to such tech giants that are now used by millions of users. That marks a different tact from major media companies, which have largely decided to take checks to license content to companies like OpenAI, rather than spend millions fighting in court. It says the New York Times is an exception, and it has shelled out $10 million plus battling OpenAI so far. I mean, that's probably a lot of what this would come down to is, do they want to spend all this time and money suing individual places or people or AI companies for using the likeness? It kind of reminds me a lot of Napster back in the day when you had obviously a lot, Metallica and some of these, big music artists and bands were going after the streaming of music and things. And eventually, there ends up, it changes the way that market kind of works and they come to some sort of agreement and there is some monetization in there, but feasibly going after each person that was downloading a track on Napster, first off, they're probably never going to see the money they would sue for, and the legal costs of that would just become just unmanageable. And just at scale, even with all the money that Disney and Universal have, they don't want to be spending millions of dollars suing people that are just making like silly AI things. I think it's some of this, but obviously they're suing now to probably do it now versus doing it later is kind of my guess. The complaint from Disney and Universal details how Midjourney's tools easily allow users to create image-based works based on the intellectual property of Disney and Universal. Think Darth Vader or Shrek at the beach, etc. This is commonly called AI slop, and many likely already see it in their social media feeds. If a Midjourney subscriber submits a simple text prompt requesting an image of the character Darth Vader in a particular setting or doing a particular action, Midjourney obliges by generating and displaying a high-quality, downloadable image featuring Disney's copyrighted Darth Vader character. The complaint offers AI-generated images of Vader, Wall-E, Stormtroopers, How to Train Your Dragon characters, Minions, and Shrek, and many more as evidence of copyright infringement perpetuated by Midjourney, and it singles out Star Wars character Yoda with a side-by-side comparison. So obviously, this is Disney's version. This is the AI version. Obviously, looks very similar. The Hollywood studios go on to allege that Midjourney is able to provide such outputs because its tools have already ingested copyrighted intellectual property across the web as training data. Midjourney downloaded from the internet and other sources content using tools variously described as bots, scrapers, stream rippers, video downloaders, and web crawlers, the complaint says, alleging that the AI company's CEO David Holtz admitted that to collecting the training data, Midjourney pulls off all the data it can, all the text it can, all the images it can. The studios also claim that Midjourney then cleaned and converted digital files of copyrighted intellectual property to use in its training data so that its tools could provide outputs allowing users to create things like personalized Yoda, Vader, or Shrek images. When a subscriber enters a prompt for an image of Spider-Man, Minions, Iron Man, or any of the plaintiff's countless copyrighted characters, Midjourney creates yet another copy of that character, which it publicly displays and or distributes via download, the complaint reads. And here's some more examples of them showing Shrek there. The lawsuit highlights that not only does Midjourney allow the creation of these works based on Disney and Universal's copyrighted characters, the AI company goes further by having them displayed in its Explore section of its website, a sign that the studios say Midjourney is fully aware of what its products does and is capitalizing on the plagiarism. Midjourney's publication and curation of infringing images on the Explore page show that Midjourney knows that its platform regularly produces plaintiffs' copyrighted works, and that the Explore page is intended to advertise Midjourney's ability to infringe on the copyrighted works. The complaint goes on to claim that Midjourney has the tools in place to prevent outputs that run afoul of copyrighted intellectual property, but it chooses not to use them. It said Midjourney controls and has the ability to control generative outputs through readily available technical protection measures. Despite having the ability to do so, Midjourney has affirmatively chosen not to use copyright protection measures to limit the infringement. It says, using that phrasing frames that fight against Midjourney in familiar language to the studio's lobbying group, the Motion Picture Association, which also talks up its fight against piracy, but the MPA so far has mostly gone after websites that show unauthorized movies and TV shows, not AI companies, despite the prevalence of users flocking to AI-powered tools. MPA Chief Charles Rivkin said of the lawsuit, strong copyright protection is the backbone of our industry. A balanced approach to AI that both protects intellectual property and embraces responsible, human-centered innovation is critical for maintaining America's global leadership in creative industries. So first off, I'll just say, I am not a lawyer. I don't claim to be, nor understand, copyright and trademark law to the fullest degree by any means.
Although really, I specialize in bird law.
I'm guessing with this one, it seems Disney and Universal do have a good claim here. And now this is something that many places have talked about with the AI, as it's not creating unique content. It's essentially regurgitating known things it finds on the internet and just mixing it up or changing it in some way. And so there's been a lot of places that have said AI is just nothing but stealing off people's artwork, people's writings and things like that. I kind of feel like when it comes to AI, like the cat's out of the bag already. Like AI already, whether you're for it or against it, it's Pandora's box. It's already been opened. There's no way to put AI back into the bottle, no way to put the toothpaste back in the tube. So it's going to be part of things going forward. I think part of this is trying to set up copyright things with major AI, tools out there now versus doing it later on. Like, again, look at the Napster situation. They're not going to go after individual users of this because they would never see that money. But it's much easier to go after the, Midjourney and these big companies that obviously are getting a lot of money. And some of it, I guess they're claiming is making money due to this. Now, I suppose part of this would be, does Midjourney make a lot of their money strictly from doing these types of outputs? And if so, is it really, can they show a financial gain from that? I suppose that could come into the argument here. But just on its face, from, again, not being a lawyer, I feel like Disney and Universal probably have a pretty good claim here. But then it goes into as well, like, are you allowed to draw Darth Vader on your own if you're not using it for profit? I guess it's one thing to make Darth Vader art and things, which people do make Darth Vader art and sell it in paintings and things. And I don't believe Disney goes after those people. Maybe they do. Maybe you have to get the okay to do that. But I guess it would just come into, are the things being produced by Midjourney being used for financial gain by either the individual or Midjourney, or would it fall under some sort of legal thing where you are allowed to essentially, create artwork, even if it's based off of, Disney and Universal characters, if it's not you trying to like make a movie or sell things that would go against what Disney or Universal wants to do. I guess that could fall into it. But I do think this is going to be a pretty important legal battle, just because it's going to set a tone one way or the other, whether this stuff is going to be allowed. And if they do come down and say they can't, Midjourney can't do these things, what does that mean for the other AI companies? Do they fall into line? But it also doesn't stop just people setting up their own AI versions of this and doing it themselves. But I think it would set a legal precedent of not allowing these things to be there. But I kind of feel like at this point, you're kind of fighting an uphill battle as this stuff is already out there. And there are other AI, art generators out there beyond Midjourney. I think Midjourney is just the biggest one out there. But it definitely could change the way AI works in terms of these big tools. And I think more than anything, it would kind of be like what you see with, ripping movies and CDs and things like that. It still would be out there. It would still be happening, but it wouldn't be with the big boy players that do this. They would limit it on that end of things. And it's an ever evolving thing. I mean, as AI gets more, refined and better, obviously the outputs get better. And I think Disney and Universal are probably worried about these things being used in ways they don't want. It makes me think about Star Wars Theory, who has a huge Star Wars channel. He makes original fan films. He has had issues with Lucasfilm in the past, and I think they basically said as long as nothing is monetized, like he makes movies like fan movies and things like that, I believe the way he can do those is that they're not monetized in any way. Essentially, it's just a passion project, and seemingly is able to do it with that. So I guess it would maybe come down to, are these things monetized, or would there have to be some disclaimer that says if Midjourney creates these images, they can't be monetized? Whatever. It could fall into that. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I'm just looking at scenarios I've seen before. But just on its face, I feel like Disney and Universal probably have a pretty good case here. And I'm curious as to what Midjourney's defense of this would be, and what this will mean if they do rule in the favor of Disney and Universal, what that will mean for AI, going forward. Obviously, that can change things. But if Disney and Universal lose this, I'm not going to say the last one you would see, but this is obviously a very big lawsuit that Disney and Universal are teaming up on. But if they lose this one, I kind of feel like in the future, you're just going to see all sorts of AI art being used that have copyrights on them. I guess it would just come into individual uses of those that perhaps Disney and Universal and other companies would go after. If someone had a Darth Vader version of something made and they used it in a way Disney and Universal or Disney didn't like, I suppose they could go after that person. Then that may be where they go with this. I don't know. It's interesting nonetheless, as AI is getting better and better and scary, the things that AI can do. And with most things, AI can do things that I think are good. And then there's also the side of AI, which is not good, which is kind of like this. You could maybe say the same thing for the internet. There's great things about the internet, making a video like this, interacting with audiences, people launching YouTube channels and things. But then you also have the downsides of the internet, and there's lots of dark things that you can do on the internet. So I think AI might fall into that as well. But it could also, you could see this where it could affect AI, but also this ruling could affect the usage of trademark characters and other mediums as well. So it is a pretty big lawsuit, probably a pretty cornerstone lawsuit. And when there's more updates and rulings on this, we'll talk about it on here. But I'm very interested to see how this pans out and how this will maybe shape AI going forward. But either way, that's all I have for this video. So if you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do this coverage here of theme parks and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about Disney and Universal suing Midjourney and its potential impact on AI going forward? And until next time, we will see you later.